button. So we are live right now. Win Daily
Depends
Sports.
how much we're going to talk about Ben Simmons.
Depends how much we're going to talk about, or depends on how much Ghost wants to get to his first drink before the Habs play tonight against. They're up 3-2, aren't they? Like
they are. Game 6 in Montreal.
How do you feel?
I'm fired up. No.
Don't give me. Oh, I'm fired up. No, I want fired up. I want you to actually be fired up. Give me energy.
Vegas is going to come out swinging. And the thing that really, really pumped me up was that we landed over 50 hits last game. So I love to see them throwing the body. TSN turning point of this of this series was when Romanov absolutely laid out Pietrangelo. So even though he's not in the lineup anymore, Romanov had a huge impact on this series in that first game.
So you played like hockey at a pretty high level. So tell me, other than, because every time I ask this bleeping question, I know this is the NBA playoff DFS preview show. We're going to get to it. Trust me. Like, it's one bleeping game. There's not much to talk about. And I'm trying to avoid the Sixers conversation. But every time I ask the question of how is Montreal doing this, it's just, well, Carey Price is having, is out of his mind right now. And that's it. Like, what else is happening? What are you seeing professional hockey opinion of why that, or how the hell Montreal is where they are now? Because every step of the way, I'm like, all right, they're going to be out, by the time I look back at this, they'll be done. They're like back and they keep moving on. Why?
Well, that's exactly it, right? And yeah, okay, I can sit here and talk 20, 30, 40, not even minutes, hours about how well Carey Price is playing, but that's just that's just the cherry on top of what's going on and what everyone's going to tell you. But in reality, it's just because of how hard they're tracking the puck. And they're tracking it even harder when they don't have it on their blades versus when they do. So for me, it's, they're attacking hard, don't get me wrong, but the moment they turn it over or the moment Vegas gets possession, they're back checking harder than they're forward checking. They're tracking that puck and they're completely controlling the neutral zone right now. They're forcing turnovers. I mean, you saw the decisive 3-0 goal when Cole Caulfield did. Oh my God, I already ordered a Cole Caulfield jersey, by the way. It's absolutely love to see it. But when Perry made that pass to Cole Caulfield on the decisive 3-0 goal, that pretty much put the fork in it for the Habs to take that game. It was a Mark Stone turnover right at the blue, and anyone that's played, it's it's 2 feet in, 2 feet out. You never stick handle at the blue. You never turn over 2 feet in, 2 feet out. That's always the rule that it was. And I don't know, Stone was really frustrated. I get it. He's been frustrated for quite some time now. Hasn't scored since the Minnesota series, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe he got one against Colorado. But needless to say, he hasn't scored in quite some time. So he's really frustrated trying to make something happen on the penalty kill and get stripped at the blue transition. That's just it. It's exactly what Montreal's been doing really well. They're controlling the neutral zone as much as possible, forcing Vegas to dump that puck in. And while Vegas is a good forechecking team, the top 4 of the Habs right now with Weber, Sherratt, Edmondson, and Petrie have just been playing lights out. So, I don't want to say it makes it easy. Nothing in hockey is easy, but when the other team is very concentrated with the top 2 lines, well, Montreal could just counter that with their top 4 Ds and match it line for line. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're a much deeper team than Vegas is right now. Are they the more skilled team? No, absolutely not. Not on any day of the week, and certainly not on a Sunday. But it's just that's exactly the way that they're playing. They're playing 4 lines. They're rolling it out, and they're getting contributions from everybody that you wouldn't have thought of. If you told me a month ago that a 36-year-old Eric Stahl, who was a borderline healthy scratch to end the season, would be getting that 2-0 goal off a feed from Suzuki, I would have told you you're crazy. You might not even play in playoffs. You know what I mean? So they're getting contributions from all over the place, and the city's absolutely buzzing right now.
I understood about 25% of that. The rest of it, no idea.
But
I know
this
Eric
is what it's
Stahl,
like asking a Canadian about hockey instead of everyone else telling you, well, Carey Price
something
is
about a
well.
blue line. I know who Carey Price is, but everything you just said there was like, I have no idea what. I get strategies of most sports. Like, I know Major League Baseball, kind of some strategy there. NFL, like basketball. I had no idea what you were just talking about with hockey. Like, I for some reason have never been able to kind of understand that sport at a strategic X's and O's type level. Like, I just can't. I don't know why. I guess maybe it's just I haven't invested the time in it, or because I haven't played it. But I had no idea what you just said.
Well, it's just when when you end up having a goalie like Carey Price between the pipes for you, you play with.
Can you just play much more aggressive because maybe if we do
you certainly can, but the Habs don't, just because they know that that's not their game. They don't have the skill to be able to do that.
Right.
But what it does is that it allows you to play with so much more confidence. You know, like you're able to be aggressive in different ways.
Right. Not worry about, some of the little mistakes that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. When you have a guy that's, virtually a brick wall in between the net, like it's like, you can afford to make a mistake or two, and you know that he's going to bail you out. And the guys know that. You could see the way that they're playing. They're making plays that, had Carey Price not been playing to this level, or had it been another goalie, they wouldn't be attempting these plays, period. So that's where, they're allowing themselves to get a bit creative, at least to Montreal standards, to be able to create some offense in the way that they can. And they know that, they're really, really hard on the puck, and they're hard on the forecheck. And that's exactly what's winning them this series right now. Seeing, their quote unquote fourth line, it's not even the fourth line to me right now, but Stahl, Armia, and Corey Perry, man, like, they're just completely mismatching opposing teams. They're cycling the entire, they don't spend a single second in their own zone. They're always in the offensive zone, and it wipes out a minute and a half, 2 minutes off the clock. And while you're going to tell me, well, a shift is 45 seconds, go and watch Corey Perry, a Corey Perry shift tonight. The guy's out there for 2 minutes because he's just battling in the offensive zone for 2 minutes. So seeing that, they're going to have to grind another win out tonight, but it's gotten them it's gotten them 11 wins this playoffs. Every single win is coming like that. So I'm expecting another one tonight. The city's going absolutely nuts too.
I bet. Yeah, I bet.
It's a lot of fun to be a part of.
Well, have fun. That was a lot of hockey talk. I enjoyed it. I really.
With Zach in the chat too. Zach's in the chat.
Zach's pucks.
Yeah,
picks.
That's Zach, of course, the man.
Yeah.
I did take the Habs money line, obviously. So that's a bit of a homer pick.
I was about to say,
I'm not advertising that.
Yeah,
that is me betting.
By the way, did sports betting in Canada? Like, aren't you guys? You guys
it
did. The thing.
So we've had sports betting in DFS for the longest time, right? So you can play FanDuel in DFS as far as I can remember. When I first started playing, when I was legal, I'll change that sentence. When I was legal, that's when it was always around. You were allowed to sports bet. You were allowed to play DFS both on FanDuel and DraftKings, Yahoo, whatever platform that you wished. Mm-hmm. The only thing is that when it came to betting, with the exceptions of a few books like Bet365 and Betway, for example, are actually European books that give access to Canadians. So you're allowed to single bet on those, but just it really varied per province, and it was just a big mess, right? So on your provincial sports book, I guess I could call it, you were only allowed to bet in parlays. So you had to make a minimum of 2 bets before you were able to place your wagers. So that's no longer a thing anymore. And I'm hoping that we can get DraftKings. What's that?
Why was that ever a thing?
I don't. It was the biggest thing, and like, I'm really not a politics guy, but they were saying, like, with the legislation or something, it was so complicated to be able to do it, and the bill finally passed. So I'm hoping that allows DraftKings and FanDuel to be able to come to Canada. If anyone out there is a DK or FD rep that's listening, please come north of the border. We're dying for it here. It's a really big market. So that
just means now you gotta spread the word about WinDailySports.com and our betting section. And you could also say, hey, guess what? We have betting content. You should subscribe to Win Daily Sports. Go to WinDailySports.com. Go subscribe, and boom, you have all the help you need, all the tools that my man Ghost uses to make up with all these DFS and sports betting picks are all the tools available to everybody else. That's what you can now spread the word out. And listen to the gambler, but you can just say all these things because
is it Fox Philly?
You could just call it the gambler. The gambler.
Is it 8 to 11 or now we moved it up? No, you moved it up?
No, I'm only moved up because one of our hosts just had a baby. So congratulations.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
And so now I moved up because I would rather be finished at 9 than 11.
There you go. So 6 to 9, Monday to Friday. Make sure you guys tune in. And then when it gets back to regular schedule, 8 to 11.
Yeah,
Eastern.
There you go.
Eastern, the only time zone that I reference is the best time zone. So.
And sign up at WinDailySports.com. Don't
up 26 units in NBA alone. So
Jesus.
We're out here.
Gosh.
We're out here.
All right. One last thing. Also, there is something around the corner. Don't tell the Discord chat, especially Brian, that I'm saying this. But there's football coming up soon. You might want to subscribe to Win Daily Sports. All right. Now that I got that out of the way, we got a showdown. Why we're not really we're trying to stall here because
we're going to talking about Doc Rivers.
No, we're not going to talk about that. I really I know we said we were going to. I don't want to do it. I can't. So let's just go DFS.
This is why we didn't do the show on Tuesday. I know why we didn't do the show on Tuesday.
Do you know how depressing it's been around here?
Yeah, it's been, seriously. Wow, it was. Thanks, Adam. That was.
Yes, I did.
That was something. Doc Rivers needs to go.
Stop!
I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Stop!
I had to get that in there. I'm
gonna end the show now.
I had to get it in there. I'm gonna take over as the host. I'm gonna log in so you get logged out. Doc Rivers has to go. That's all I'm gonna say. Doc has to go.
Got anything for the showdown?
Chris Paul is back.
Yeah.
Suns and four. That guy has gone viral, and I absolutely love to see it. Yes, Doc is cheeks, man. Doc is cheeks, bro. Oh my god.
He's not Mo
Suns and four,
but
he's not like Middleton cheeks, but like he's pretty bad. He's pretty bad.
Can we fun stuff? Is this even fun though? Like talking
CP3
about CP3
is back. CP3 is back. The
Captain
point guard
spot.
is back.
Captain spot.
I was just about to say not to do that.
Captain spot.
I was just about to say not to do that. So the only thing with Chris Paul is that obviously like the fact that he made a return this quickly, like again, everyone's different, right? So I've had, knock on wood, the gratitude of not having
Is there
COVID.
wood around you? Did you actually just knock on wood, or are you lying to us?
Yeah, no, I knocked on wood.
Okay.
So like for me, it's everyone's body reacts differently to the virus and this and that. From what I've been told, at least I've been lucky enough not to go through it myself, but you're looking at the same sport, same, kind of level athlete. You would imagine that it took Jimmy Butler, 6 to 8 weeks to come back from COVID. Chris Paul is back, and I don't even feel like it's been a week. It really hasn't been that long, right? So you would expect him to be in good shape, but again, the risk is there where I'm not confident putting him there in the captain spot. Or if you want to take a shot, you can put him in the utility spot because Chris Paul is going to go out there and do exactly what he's doing. He's going to facilitate.
Right. Is it worth just putting him in though? Because what do you think the usage for him is going to be, at least for the ownership in DraftKings or the DFS? Like how many do you think are going to roster him?
I would be shocked if he would. I don't want to put a specific number to it, but he's probably going to be the 4th or 5th highest owned captain tonight, which is relatively low. Most people are going to go Paul George, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, or take a shot on someone like Reggie Jackson and one of these, Clipper role players before they go Chris Paul. And that to me is, it says a lot about the slate. The fact that people are still locking in Booker to this point, even with Chris Paul back, says a lot about I'm not saying anything about Devin Booker, how he's a bad player or anything like that. Everyone knows how I feel. If anyone's watched any single show, whether Phoenix was on a slate or not, I've mentioned Devin Booker. So I'm a huge Devin Booker guy through and through. I'm playing Devin Booker 100% tonight. But at the same time, it says a lot about how they feel about Chris Paul because they think that Chris Paul coming back has absolutely no effect to Devin Booker. If anything, it gives him a bump. So, it's something to keep in mind when you're rounding out your roster and you're getting to the top of this pricing grid. I'm not saying Chris Paul has to be the first guy that you click, but if you're if you're trying to make things work and you're like, oh man, I could get Chris Paul, but I can't get all the way up to Devin Booker, I need to change something. Run a couple without Devin Booker and put Chris Paul in there because, again, we don't know how his body – no one here knows how his body's going to react other than Chris Paul. So, for all we know, he could go out there, play 35 minutes, and drop 20 and 10. That's exactly what –
And Chris Paul's the biggest change probably to this game right now because Chris Paul hasn't played in the first 2 games. And I imagine the question is, okay, Chris Paul in, does it take away production from Ayton? Is this another thing of, well, because Chris Paul is such a great facilitator, and I imagine they're going to do some type of pick and roll with Paul and Ayton, this could still benefit Ayton.
That's exactly what it does. So if anything, it gives DeAndre Ayton a boost, and it gives Devin Booker a boost also. It gives everyone around them a boost. That's just what Chris Paul does, right? So if we go individually, and then the last will kind of be like a category of guys, DeAndre Ayton is a huge benefactor to having Chris Paul back because, look, Devin Booker ran the pick and roll really well. Seeing those 11 assists in that 40-point triple-double game, you don't just fall onto 11 assists. Like the man was distributing the ball really well, but nobody dishes it to the extent of Chris Paul. Nobody in the league. So seeing that pick and roll now with DeAndre Ayton, and now on top of that, you don't have someone off the ball like Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne has been playing lights out. And that's what gives them the chance to be able to ease Chris Paul back in. And when I say ease, I'm saying playing him 30 minutes instead of 35. I'm not saying 15 minutes because this is a game in February on the second half of a back-to-back.
It's just not every 40 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is a Western Conference Finals game he's going to play. And at the same time, what that allows them to do is that he'll play 30 to 32 instead of 38 to 40, exactly like what you were saying, right? So with that being said, DeAndre Ayton is a huge benefactor of this because all those minutes logging with Chris Paul, that he's going to be out there to facilitate. That's what he's done throughout his entire career, especially now coming off of COVID. That's his game tonight. He's going to want to control the pace of play, and he's going to dictate the pace that the game rolls at. He doesn't want to push the pace. What if he's worried about his breathing? What if he's not feeling it for, the last minute or two of the time that he's out there before he checks out, right? So that's where he's going to be able to control the pace, and nobody does that better in the league than Chris Paul. And then when Devin Booker was running the pick and roll, it was always, full steam ahead. But the thing with that is that everyone knew it was, okay, we got eyes on Book. He's still going to cook us, but we have to have eyes on Book. And then you're looking at DeAndre Ayton rolling to the paint because Cameron Payne is not a strong off-ball player. He needs the ball in his hands. And you saw that in the last game. All the damage that he did was the ball in his hands. Whereas now, it's not Cameron Payne off the ball. It's Devin Booker off the ball because Chris Paul has it in his hands. So that's where this offense takes such a different look versus the Booker-Payne backcourt and CP3 and Booker.
So obviously, the next person I'm going to ask about because he's on the screen. Chris Paul was the difference, but the different or the change, the adjustment in game 2 was the Clippers putting in Zubac and did well, did pretty good. Ayton still went off, so I don't think it had anything to do with, stopping Ayton. It didn't work. But he had a pretty good game. At 5,200 again, is this plug him in or now okay, everybody knows about it. Let's stay away from it and be a little bit different in a showdown slate.
Yeah, this is a spot where you can allow yourself to be different. Not playing Paul George tonight to be different, that's just ludicrous. You don't do that, right? So on a showdown slate like this, I'll get different in, one of the higher owned value plays is going to be Zubac. And realistically, last game, I'll give him credit where credit is due. Logging 34 minutes, dropping 14 and 11 in that double-double. And he played some good minutes down the stretch. But at the same time, this is a guy that can easily get 4 fouls in 4 minutes on any given night. Absolutely. So while he stayed out of foul trouble, you never know if that's going to happen again. And I know that's not exactly something that we can control, but that's enough for me to, possibly go elsewhere or look elsewhere when we're talking about arguably the highest owned player in our utility spots that's not at the top of the pricing grid. So because of that, you're going to get a lot of guys that are left out. And if anything, the fact that Nick Batum is now coming off the bench, or at least wasn't last game, we don't have starting lineups just yet because the game is still a couple hours away. But if Zub ends up starting again and Nick Batum's coming off the bench, nobody's playing Nick Batum tonight. But if Zub gets into foul trouble and you're playing that angle where you don't want to play him because of that, well, look no further than Nick Batum to be able to end up slotting into that spot, right? So at 6,800, it's a little bit too expensive for my liking, but these are the kinds of scenarios where that's just an example of you need to be able to play these scenarios out before building your lineups, right? So the Clippers backcourt of Patrick Beverley got the start last game. He's going to be popular if he has that green check mark again.
Right. Terrence Mann didn't really do much, but he's obviously one who can come up in any game. I know Rondo's gotten a few minutes, but as you just mentioned, Pat Beverley as well. How do you sort out this backcourt? Is it just you come up with a few different combinations and just whatever one hits? But this is where it seems like you can get a little bit different because it's sort of all over the place with the Clippers backcourt.
That's exactly it, right? And for me, if I'm Ty Lue right now, I don't feel the need to be able to change anything because that game was theirs. Paul George hits those free throws. That game is theirs. They're coming back to LA tied 1-1. So, I don't really feel the need to be able to change a starting lineup. If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. So I would expect Beverley to start. But now he's not guarding Cameron Payne. And again, I'm not taking anything away from Cameron Payne. He played one of the best games of his career in game 2. But now you got CP3 there. And to me, it's not only to the fact that you're upgrading Cameron Payne to Chris Paul, it's that now you have Cameron Payne coming off the bench. The guy dropped 29 and 9 in a starting role and played amazingly well beside Devin Booker. Now you have that guy coming off the bench with Cam Johnson. Like, this offense is so much more potent with Chris Paul in the starting lineup for obvious reasons, but it's not just what it does to that starting five. It allows for Cameron Payne to come off the bench and play against Rajon Rondo, play against guys like Terrence Mann, etc. So I think the Clippers are going to be chasing points in this game despite being at home. And in that case, Ty Lue's going to have to make a call. He's going to say, okay, do I want Bev out there for defensive possessions, knowing that you can literally leave him wide open on an island on offense and he's not going to hit the shot? And you're pretty much playing 4-on-5 on offense? Or do I take him out and insert a guy like Terrence Mann, who's proven to be able to drop 40 points in a game? Do I insert the savvy veteran in Rajon Rondo, right? So yeah, this is a spot where wherever the scenario is that you play out, whether the Clippers are chasing points or not, that's who you need to play. If they're chasing points, I'm not playing Patrick Beverley. He's not going to touch the ball on offense. If you think that the Clippers get up, they're at home, they get things going, they're trying to come back into the series, then yeah, you do play Patrick Beverley because you're looking at 25 plus minutes at a guy that's as close to minimum price as it gets on a showdown.
WinDailySports.com. Go there, sign up, use all the tools that Ghost uses and everybody else on the Win Daily team to help them come up with plays. Ghost even says it. Keep up the cheat sheet projection models while you're looking to build your lineups because it helps out. And we're going to help you out a little bit right now with lineups. We'll go with Jimmy, DeAndre Ayton, Booker, PG, Jackson, Cam Johnson, Kennard.
Yeah, the only thing is that, like, I don't want to say it this drastically, but Luke Kennard playing 17 minutes last game, I don't want to say it goes to the point where I don't know if he sees the court tonight, but I don't know if he sees the court tonight. Like, this is like, both games are must wins. They need to win both in LA. I don't think Paul George or Reggie Jackson leave the court tonight, or at least as close as possible to it. I don't think it's going to be, like a Kevin Durant playing literally all 48 minutes, but it's going to be close to that. So that's a point where, you're running Kennard at the 3, or technically Paul George at the 3, and you have a really small backcourt. Like, you can't do that. You can't even do that. You can't have Paul George guarding that trifecta of wings and Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder. Like, it doesn't really work. And Mikal Bridges. Like, it doesn't work. So if you're playing the angle that I am, where Reggie Jackson and Paul George barely leave the court, I would favor Beverly, Rondo, and Mann all get minutes before Kennard. I don't think he has to go that deep into the rotation tonight. Or at least I don't think he should. If he does, then obviously that's his call to make. He's the NBA coach, not me. But at the same time, it's, right. You're in a must-win game. I don't know if Luke Kennard sees the court tonight. I rather, I don't know if I'd switch off Ayton in the captain spot. I really do like DeAndre Ayton in the captain spot. That was the number one option that I wrote.
Nice.
But you can maybe come off, that's a spot where, is it worth it to come off Booker and go to Chris Paul to be able to upgrade Kennard to someone else up there, right? So it depends how much salary you have left. But yeah, if you can, if you go Reggie Jackson in the captain spot, you could definitely do a lot worse than that. My only fear is that it has nothing to do with Reggie Jackson. It's just the type of player that he is. I don't like playing pure scorers in captain spots. And nothing against Reggie Jackson. That applies to Duncan Robinson. That applies to Buddy Hield. That applies to Joe Harris. I'll throw him a bone and say he's a pure scorer, even though the guy scored like 20 points in the past month for the Nets. But I don't like playing guys like that, because if their shot isn't dropping, they're not contributing elsewhere.
WinDailySports.com. We're going over the NBA playoff game tonight between the Suns and Clippers. Betting side of things, who you got? Any player?
I got the Suns. I took the Suns. I took the Suns. It was before my first meeting of the day, so before 8 a.m. I had put Suns up.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Why so confident? Just because that was the dagger last night?
I think the Suns sweep. I don't think LA.
Yeah.
I don't think LA wins this game, and they go down 3-0. Their series is done at home. I don't think they're coming back to Phoenix. I really don't.
Man, okay. You're not worried about the Clippers being down 2-0 in the last 2 series and coming back? That's not. I agree.
It's not. It's really not a thing for me.
But I just
like I don't know that. I mean, you look at that Utah series, man. Like that had glimpses of Denver versus Utah from the bubble. Like Utah was not all there. Mike Conley was so banged up. Donovan Mitchell had a bad ankle. Like there were things in there where Phoenix doesn't have that. Like when's the last time Phoenix had, again, I don't even want to say it out. Like I really hope I don't jinx anything right now because I'm rooting for them. I have a Suns ticket from the preseason to win the championship, so hopefully that hits. But for me, it's just like, when's the last time they had a key member go down or at least be severely banged up? Like I get it, Chris Paul had that shoulder issue in the first round, but it's like outside of that, this team is just firing on all cylinders right now. Like that was the name of the game this season.
They look like the best team in the league right now.
But that's exactly it. And as much as you could say, well, how do I avoid COVID? Like I'm not saying it's on the players, but that was the name of the game. Who can survive without getting their entire roster in COVID protocols? Who can survive injuries from the shortest offseason in NBA history? And that's you look at all the boxes. Phoenix has them all checked off. Like that, this is a team that's just firing on all cylinders right now. And Clippers without Kawhi, like being down 2-0, I get it. Paul George closed out that series, but Kawhi Leonard won them that series.
Yeah,
like the influence that Kawhi had in those first games, like, and especially against Dallas, that LA doesn't even make it out of the first round if it wasn't for Kawhi Leonard. I said it back then, and I'll say it now. If Kawhi Leonard was playing,
Luka was doing. Luka was playing out of his mind. And
Luka
Kawhi
was dropping like 50, 50, and 50 in like 5 minutes. Like I said it back then. Kawhi Leonard is the best player in these NBA playoffs. Now he's out anymore, but Lou Williams strip, yeah, that would wow, that'd be something. But I just think they're firing on all cylinders right now, and the addition of Chris Paul, even if it's you look outside, like even you can make the comparison to Rajon Rondo on the other side of the ball. The impact that Rondo has goes so much further in the minutes that he plays, whether they're few, whether they're none, or they're 28 to 30 like they were in the first 2 games of the series, because he's in there in the film room. That's where Rajon Rondo has an impact, in the film room. Taking a guy like Terrence Mann aside and shooting around, and you're at shoot around, and it's like, you just see guys shooting up balls. Like, no, like Rajon Rondo's going out there and spending time with a guy like Terrence Mann. You know what I mean? So the impact that he has, it's the exact same thing for Chris Paul. You see that they're walking off the court, and DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker have media all around this, that, and Devin Booker's FaceTiming Chris Paul, and they're screaming, pumped about a win. And DeAndre Ayton's yelling over his shoulder. You see your kid Book with 11 dimes. You see those 11 dimes, like, they just have everything going for them. They have that camaraderie.
Yes, they do.
It's just, I don't see them being stopped right now, not anytime soon. And I do think they go all the way to the ship. I really do. I think it's Suns in 4.
So
plus they have the viral meme guy behind them. Like that's
Suns in 4.
That's the narrative of all narratives. The guy's literally out there.
It's amazing.
It's a narrative of all narratives.
I'll ask these 2 questions because I want to settle the debate, because I did a show today earlier for The Gambler. And there were two things that came
11,
up.
Monday to Friday.
Two things that came up that I just couldn't believe, because we were comparing, because we were thinking, what if the Hawks do end up, not saying they will, but what if they do end up going to the finals? Like, can they beat the Suns? And so it came up as this: who is better, Mikal Bridges or John Collins?
You can't really compare those 2 guys. Completely different games.
I think it's Mikal Bridges no matter what.
They play a completely different game.
Okay, DeAndre Ayton or Clint Capella?
DeAndre Ayton.
Thank you. Okay, I went with Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton. Like, I was saying that the starting lineup for the Suns is way more complete and talented than the Hawks.
Trae Young has been unreal. It's just like, if people, whoever follows me on Twitter, you see that I've retweeted that the Bleacher Report video of Trae Young. It was like a Trae Young hype video when he knocked out New York in that first round. That video just gets me fired up every single time. But Clint Capella is getting no recognition for what he's doing on the court. Bro, the man had to deal with Julius Randle in the first series. Julius Randle was invisible. Everybody was talking about it. Where's Julius Randle? Okay, how about you say what a job by Clint Capella? Like some people have takes and they don't look at the flip side of them. Like it's like they're saying, well, look how bad Julius Randle was. Okay, but look how good Clint Capella was. And then he just fought a 7-game series against Joel Embiid. Okay, Embiid had some monster games, but the man's logging 30, 40, 36 minutes against an MVP candidate.
Right.
Against the best, if not the best, if not the second best. At most, he's the second best center in the league.
Yeah.
He's either the best or the second best. Like that to me is Clint Capella logging these minutes. And then again, you saw him. And what that does is, okay, last game he dropped 12 and 20 and he's running pick and roll with Trey and this and that. It's not even that what I'm looking at. If you watch a lot of Atlanta games, even outside the playoffs, now it's a bit tough if you haven't been watching them throughout the season. It's a bit tough to, kind of relate. But the fact that he's able to hide John Collins on defense keeps him out of foul trouble. And the Atlanta Hawks are so much better with John Collins on the court. And it's not because he's an amazing player. It's because the rest of the guys are on the bench. That's what they're allowing themselves to rotate in Danilo Gallinari and be confident with the best players that they have on that roster. They are constantly running a 7 to 8 man rotation. And that's how they win games. If John Collins gets into foul trouble, the Hawks are cooked. And they know that. He's matching one-on-one on Giannis. They know that they have to play zone D. They know that they have to run a ton of switches. Because if Giannis is attacking the paint on anybody in the league, let alone John Collins, he's fouling out in 5 minutes. Yeah. He's fouling out on 6 straight possessions and he's done. He's playing 5 minutes out of 48. The guy's cooked. He's on the bench for the rest of the game. So that's what amazes me about this Hawks team. The role that Clint Capella has been playing, he's pretty much hiding John Collins on defense and managing it. I don't want to say all on his own, and all of this in the absence of DeAndre Hunter. You know how I feel about guys that come out of UVA and their defensive ability. All this without their best defensive player. DeAndre Hunter is done for the playoffs. That for me is absolutely amazing. I'm loving to watch this. And that Trey shimmy, that he called game right there. He called game on that very possession. The guy shimmied on them right in their face. Knocked down a 3 and looked at the crowd.
I hate him. Ghost, good show today. Good luck to your Habs.
Thank you.
Good luck. WinDailySports.com. Again, subscribe if you haven't yet. Again, all the tools available that our DFS gurus in the chat use on the Discord chat. They are all looking at the projection models and cheat sheets to kind of make some tough decisions in their lineups, last-minute decisions, and it's really great stuff. Sign up, WinDailySports.com. Ghost, great job today. I will be talking to you tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a Habs moving on.
I really hope so. I really hope so.
I hope so too.
We might make it an NHL NBA hybrid show just to be pumped about the Habs for like 5 minutes. It'll probably just be me being fired up about the Habs for 5 minutes.
We'll see. We'll figure it out. But for today, good job, man. Have fun at the game. We'll be back tomorrow with WinDailySports.com.